Welcome to the Lift Oneself podcast, where we break mental health stigmas through conversations. I'm your host, Nat, and we dive into topics about trauma and how it impacts the nervous system. Yet we don't just leave you there. We share insights and tools of self-care, meditation, and growth that help you be curious about your own biology. Your presence matters. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. Help our community grow. Let's get into this. Oh, and please remember to be kind to yourself. Welcome to the Lift Oneself podcast. I'm your host, Nat, and today I have a guest, Greg Mohr. And I don't know much about him, so as he introduces himself, we're both going to find out who he is and what, lights him up and what he has to offer in the world. So, Greg, could you introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Nat. I appreciate you having me today. Greg Mohr, franchise Maven. I help ambitious entrepreneurs and investors find a thriving franchise fit or flip their business into a franchise. No charge for my service. When people come to me, they don't know which franchise necessarily they want to get into. All they know is they want to be an entrepreneur and they want to do it through franchising. And I work with probably a little over 500 franchises. And I work with my folks to find out where have they been, where are they at, where do they want to be, and then I devise a plan of action on the different franchises around them.
Okay. So before we dive into this, and I'm going to get some education for myself, and I'm sure for the listeners also, would you join me in a mindful moment so that we can ground ourselves and be present in the moment?
Yes.
Okay. So for the listeners, as you always hear, I'm going to ask Greg and myself to close our eyes. Yet if you're driving or need your visual, safety first, do not close your eyes. Yet the other prompts you're able to follow through. So Greg, I'll ask you to get comfortable in your seating. And if it's safe to do so, you're going to gently close your eyes and you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to be aware of the rhythm going in and out, allowing it to guide you into your body. There may be some feelings or sensations coming up, and that's okay. Let them come up. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. Be with your breath. Drop deeper into your body. By now, there may have been some thoughts or memories that have popped up, and that's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping even deeper into your body, allowing yourself to just be, feeling your breath go in and out, down into your chest, in through your nostrils. Again, some thoughts may have popped up. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating even more space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping even deeper into your body, allowing yourself to just be. Observing the breath. Now, at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath. Hi. How's your heart doing?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So, can you let the listeners know what a franchise means?
So a franchise is like a business in a box. A franchise has a playbook already in hand. The franchisor has created the business to begin with, started it out. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be licensing or renting uh, that franchise playbook that they have on there. Step by step process of what the franchisor has already gone through. in order to make that business successful. So you're basically renting or leasing a business model.
Okay. What got you into this?
Way back when I was 16 and in high school, we all had to get a job somewhere. So I ended up, a lot of us got jobs in fast food. I ended up at Taco Bell, and it turned out I ended up working for a master franchiser for Taco Bell. She owned about 50 Taco Bells throughout the Sacramento, California area. I didn't know anything about franchising at that time, never heard of it. But I found out that's what she was, and I helped her build her restaurants up throughout the Sacramento, California area.
Okay. So I take it you were raised in LA?
Sacramento, California.
Sacramento, sorry,
Woodland,
Sacramento,
Woodland,
California.
California. Woodland, California to be exact. And Sacramento was just about 30 miles away. It was a big town. Woodland was only about 10,000 people at the time. So we did most of our stuff over in Sacramento.
Okay. So, and before we started recording, you told me you're in Missouri. That
Yes.
is a drastic change. What brought that forth?
So after being in Taco Bell for a number of years, then I moved up to a Lions restaurant, which is kind of like an upscale Denny's. Managed those for 15 years up in Northern California. Got bored with that, went back to school, became a microelectronic circuit engineer, got a job in Austin, Texas for Motorola Semiconductor at the time. Did that for 15 years, got bored with that. I decided I want to be my own boss, became an entrepreneur. And then after, I think it was about 20 years in Texas, we actually lived in a small town called Flatonia, outside of Austin, Texas. We decided that we'd actually like to have 4 seasons. In Texas over there, you had two, hot and hotter on that one. So we came up here and visited once and fell in love with the countryside. So we moved up here to Licking, where we now do indeed have 4 seasons. Although I have to admit that the snow can be a little much at times. Took a little getting used to, but it's very nice and beautiful up here.
Okay. So, can you explain to us what that looked like for the change? Because you've gone to different states, and
Mhm.
that takes a lot of, courage and curiosity and openness to do these kind of changes because it's different cultures, different rules, different environments. So, what engaged you with doing these leaps and these changes in life?
Well, after a while, sometimes you get a little complacent. And then you start getting bored with the areas that you're in. Same with my jobs. Got bored with those because they're just the thrill and the excitement wasn't there anymore and just wasn't doing it for me. And the same with living over in Texas. Actually, between Texas and Missouri, we actually went up to New Mexico for 11 months. We lived up in the mountains near Taos at about 7,500 feet on that. We only lasted 11 months because we lived on the side of a mountain and there's snow there most of the time. We thought it'd be cool, but not as cool as it ended up being on that one. So we decided, yeah, maybe something a little bit lower in elevation would be good. But after a while, you feel like the you need a change. You need something different in your life to do it. Uh, for us, my move did it, and for me, moving to being a restaurant manager, then microelectronics circuit engineer, and I purchased a couple businesses while I was an engineer and did that with a friend of mine. So that was a nice change. Really keeps the mind active, keeps the blood flowing on that one. And then yeah, we moved to. I got bored in Texas and moved to Taos, or not Taos, but it was Mohr, a little town called Mohr up there, really small town up in the mountains. Really beautiful up there during the summertime. Wintertime wasn't quite as much fun. Summertime was great on that one, but it really keeps you going. Gets the blood flowing, gets your mind going to change different things, change your environment every once in a while. Good for the soul.
Mm. And do you have a family?
Just me and my wife, 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Okay, so with all these moves, were any of them your wife's choice, or was it always you leading the choice of this is where we're going to go?
It was both of us together. We both sat down and we talked about it on that. We'd always wanted to live in the mountains. So we talked about going up in the mountains. I was busy with running the business at the time. So I said, go find us a place. And we had gone horseback riding up in New Mexico once or twice. And I liked the mountains up there. So I said, just go find us a place. And she found us a few different ones. We went up there and explored them on that. And then we got tired of the mountains pretty quick And we had both visited, come down here to Missouri and visit Missouri at one point in time and drove through here. Really liked the area. So it was really both of our choices, really talking it out, saying, what do we want to do next in our life? But I let her go out and find the place. And then we just came out here and drove out here together or to both of them and explored it and said, that's the one. We'll take it.
Okay. So tell us, what's a misconception people have about franchises?
First thing that most people come to me about net is when we start talking about franchises is that, when you and I are driving around, we see all those brick and mortar franchises all the time. So a lot of people are thinking that it's something that, is a brick and mortar, build out on that one. Um, and it's just not the case. There's pretty much a franchise in any industry you can think of out there. So the brick and mortars, they, you build it, they will come. General theme on that one. Generally speaking, you're looking at 250,000, 300,000 on up for total investment on something people don't realize is that the service industry, many franchises in there as well. Your clients don't necessarily know you exist until they need you. So you need a great franchise system to drive people to you when that need arises. So think of anything that you do around the home, from outside lawn care, pest control, remodeling the inside of the house and different aspects of it, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing. Then you can also get into senior care, tutoring, uh, signs, and had a few interesting individual ones. But it doesn't really matter which one you get into as far as if you're looking to make money. Both of them make good money on that one, depending on what you consider as good money. Generally speaking, a good six-figure income off of one territory on there. So that's probably the biggest misconception I would say. That is that people don't realize the variety of franchises that are out there.
Okay, and now, the state of where the world is right now with AI and a lot of technology taking over humans and the work that can get done and everything else. If there's somebody new coming, as you said, you were 16 and had to start somewhere, what is advice that you would give to any teenagers or those in their 20s coming into the industry? What would you suggest to them to, go through the fear and the naysayers? And what would you encourage them to start with?
Well, if they're still going to school, I would encourage them to take classes on entrepreneurship to begin with as an option. When you and I were growing up, it was pretty much, you go to school, you learn some sort of trade, you get a job, you stay with the job. That was it. Have options. Entrepreneurship is an option. Go into it, take classes in it, learn about it. But then when you go out into the world and looking for a job, look at franchises. Look at them as an option. It may be for you, it may not be for you, but it's a good option to look into. So I would suggest that everyone just go out there and just take a look at entrepreneurship, whether it's starting your own business, building something yourself, buying into an existing private business, or looking at franchises. Compare those options. You'd be amazed at how many different options there are out there. And it may feel a lot better to you to do that than work for somebody else and help them build their dream. Just go out there and build your own dream yourself.
So I know in my mind, what pops up is how much money do I need to start investing in a franchise? Like, what are the resources and how much work goes into that?
So as far as the money goes, that if you've got decent credit on there, 650, 700 or more, you can generally get a loan for a franchise. So while I indicated before that a brick and mortar franchise was 250, $300,000 on up for a total investment, you don't need to have all of that money in cash on that. When you're getting into a brick and mortar, 7A loan will do it for you, SBA 7A loan, and you put down about 20%. For service industry, you're putting down about $20,000 and you get 150, 200,000 from the SBA on that. You do for each individual franchise, they're going to have a set net worth requirement on there for that one. So that will probably be the one that's going to really determine just which type of franchise you can get into depending on your net worth and what that is. So if you're getting into a brick and mortar, they're going to look at 300,000 to 500,000 net worth. Whereas service industry, not as much, 100,000, 200,000. So if you're younger and you haven't built up a net worth yet, then service industry would be the way to go because then you just need $20,000 down, 700 credit score, and about 100, 200,000 net worth. And there's many different franchises that you can get into as far as the amount of work it goes into. Well, to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to be a self-starter. The franchise is going to have the whole entire playbook for you to do, but they're not going to give you a call and say, time to get up in the morning and go get them. That you got to do yourself. You have to have a little bit of risk tolerance because it is a business. It is risky. You reduce the risk when you get into a franchise because they've done it all before and they have that playbook on there. You can get into franchises that can be semi-passive investments where you manage the manager, you manage the profit and loss statements, and then you're looking at 10 to 15 hours a week if we want to put the amount of work into hours per week. Then for semi-passive, 15 to 20. For full-time, it just, you want to do it yourself. It just depends on how much effort you want to put into it and how fast you want to grow it on that one. Just keep in mind that whatever you look into, whatever franchise you want to get into or business, you got to feel it,
Mhm.
and then the money's got to make sense, but you got to feel it first. And if you feel it and it feels great, I can tell you for a fact that it really doesn't feel like you're working if you put in more hours than you were at your job. Because at your job, it really does feel like working. When you're doing it for yourself as an entrepreneur, it really doesn't when you get into the right one.
Yeah. Do you do any kind of mindfulness or meditation or anything like that?
Me and the dogs take walks throughout the day. We do about 8 miles a day, and we walk through the woods and just enjoy the peace and relaxation of the woods and all the critter sounds and all the sights, smells around there. So that would be our meditation.
Yeah, that's a beautiful meditation, just being grounded with nature and present with everything that's around you and everything else. Being really connected with the earth. And 8 miles, that is not no small walk. So keeping physically active is another part of that mindfulness and keeping the brain active and the body active and everything else. So kudos on you. What are common mistakes people make when trying to solve problems?
Not getting the help of others when you
Mm,
do it. Always look and see who else has had that problem before.
mhm.
There's plenty of different places you can go. YouTube, obviously, Nat's Lift Oneself podcast is a great way to start on there, but there's lots of other people that have done things that you're looking to do before. If you get into the world of franchising, you go look at or any kind of business for that matter, go look at your local SCORE chapter, SCORE. Those are business people that are generally retired, have been in your area for a long time, have owned businesses, but find people who don't charge, and SCORE doesn't charge. If you want to get into business, get involved with your local chamber of commerce on that. But there's plenty of people out there that you can find help from that doesn't cost anything. Just look around, you'll find them, like Nat.
Thanks. I also want to know, with anything, there is a requirement to invest in yourself. Like, not everything is going to come free. So, what would you give as advice for people that want to invest in further knowing a little bit more about a franchise? What are the things that they should look for that they're not being taken advantage of?
So a few things to look for when you're getting to a franchise. Don't look and see, or keep an open mind when you see something that seems to be in style, in fashion. Take a hard look at that on that and make certain that you don't have to be an expert in that particular industry, but get to know that industry. Where does the money going to be coming from today? What does it look like in the future? What's their business model? What's their business plan? When you're looking into franchises, you always want to talk to as many franchisees as possible
Mhm.
on that. So don't discount that on that. Not just one or two, 5, 10, 15, whatever it takes. You want to talk to as many people as possible. And whatever you're getting into, find books on the subject and read them on that. You can get mine out there. You can go to my website and get a free PDF version of this. I prefer you go on Amazon and pay for it. That's just me. But you can get a free PDF version on my website. This will walk you through what I will walk you through when you're looking into a franchise, step-by-step process of what to look for, what to look out for, funding, franchise attorneys. I've got real examples of people that I've worked with in there. But take advantage of people that don't charge uh, for their services and read as many books as you can about whatever you're looking to get into on that. There's other franchise books out there as well that you can take a look at, but read a lot of them and check it out and see if it's right for you.
Now, I want to ask, at 16, to be curious and to engage in this kind of thing, did you
Mhm.
always believe in yourself?
Yeah, it's from the start, I always did. If I wanted something, I had to go out and get it. We weren't exactly, I don't even know if you'd call us middle class. We were probably even lower than that. We had enough money to survive on. But I've always invested in myself and believed in myself that if I wanted to do something, then I had to find a way to do it myself. So me and a bunch of buddies started helping businesses clean up in the back when I was 10. And we'd ask them if we could keep their bottles and cans. And way back then in that day, those Coke bottles and Pepsi bottles were worth 10 cents a piece. When you
Yeah.
turn them into the stores, they used to recycle it. Big money back then. And aluminum cans went for good price too. And there was a local person that you just gather them all up and take them to them. So we made our fortune. I don't know if it was a fortune, but I was able to get the things I wanted to do
Mhm.
by believing in myself and investing in myself. Then at 14, I got a paper route. Again, dating myself. That's when you go door to door, knock, 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 collecting for the Democrat. I don't think they let people to go door to door collecting anymore. But back then it was okay to that. And then at 16, that's when I got my job and started learning about franchising.
Mhm. Now, the biggest thing that I think people are hesitant about are when you get the loss or you encounter, failure.
Mhm.
How have you faced those challenges? And what advice would you give to somebody to pick themselves back up, to also be aware that you will encounter this in the business world?
You will feel the fear and do it anyway. Good book. Check that one out. I invested in a couple of real estate rental homes on that. Didn't do so well with that one. I didn't know anything about it, but I tried that one. But I just realized that as you go through the process of trying to do different things, sometimes you'll fail. If you're a true entrepreneur, you will fail a few times on that. And that makes you realize what you're good at and more importantly, what you're not good at on that. And then you have to consider what you're doing. Do I want to do it myself? Probably not if I'm failing at it. Can I find somebody else that'll do it for me and I can pay them? Or do I find something that if I want to do it myself that I enjoy and that I'm good at? So you'll fail probably a few times if you start out yourself being an entrepreneur and doing things yourself. But it will help you realize the things that you enjoy doing, the things that you're good at, and then the things that you need to outsource to other folks. And there's plenty of other people that love doing the things you don't love doing and are good at them. You just need to go out and find them. Again, many different places to find them.
Yeah. Um, I think, this generation that's coming up because everything is so instant and everything is at the tip of your fingers, and they wouldn't even know, most of them, about being an entrepreneur and collecting bottles or going to shovel driveways or all these kind of things. And I think that comes from not having choices. Like, it brings a motivation, it brings a different kind of discipline. Not for everybody, yet I think it does have its impact on motivation. What you're seeing now with this younger generation, what would you like to give for them for advice to be able to go for the long run? Like, everybody's just looking at right now instant gratification. Yet when we understand how life is, and I'm 51, so I've had half a century here. So it's the long game. And so what words would you want to offer them to really understand that long game?
How soon do you want to do what you want, when you want, and have the money to do it on that? Look at your job. If you're in a job, look at your job like I did. So I looked at my job. I said, I was an engineer. So you can be engineer one. You have to be an engineer one for 3 years and you can make up to $125,000. Then you move up in an engineer two. You got to be there 4 years and the most you can make 150,000, something like that. And then move up to the next level. So you got a cap at that. So look down the road. How much is the total amount that you're going to make and how long does it get to take you to get there on that one? So I looked at that after, 15 years in the engineering field and I said, you know what? I should have looked at this a lot sooner. I'm not going to get too far with that because, you're going to have a 401k plan. Yeah, you got some money in there, you got a little bit, but it's not really enough to where you can just, again, do what you want, when you want, and have the money to do it. So really take a look at down the road, where is whatever path you're on leading you to, and is it getting you to where you want to be as soon as you want to be there on that. So, the financial advisors say always put like 10% of your income away, every year to make certain that, you're building enough. Well, take a look at that. What is it? How much is 10% a year of what you're doing, and how many years is it going to take you to get there? If it's not getting you to where you want to be as quickly as you can, then you need to take a look at your different options on that. Whether it's, starting your own business, buying an existing business, getting into a franchise system. Get Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's the one that ruined my corporate career for me. And look at the different quadrants. He nails it in those different quadrants. If you're in the employee quadrant, you're probably not going to get to where you want to be unless you have a really low, you know, threshold of standard of living. Um, you're not going to get to where you want to be as quickly as you want to. Look at the other quadrants on there, especially the investor one. Invest and have somebody else do it for you, like I was trying with the real estate business. That was one way to go on that. Real estate's always a good way to go on that if you enjoy doing that, and if you're good at it. I wasn't particularly, so I moved on to something else. Uh, you go into the business area. That the only way that's going to get you to where you have a pretty much unlimited uh, top ceiling on how much you can make is really getting into the business world or the investors world. You're not going to get there being an employee.
Mm. What does your self-care look like?
Ooh, self-care. One, eliminate or reduce the amount of processed foods I eat every day. Over here, as far as being in touch with nature, we grow it, we raise it, we shoot it. That's where our food comes from, for the most part. We failed at growing chocolate and we failed at growing coffee. So those ones we do have to buy a little bit of processed food. But the rest of the stuff, for the most part, we eat good food that we've grown, raised, or shot. We don't shoot too many things on a regular basis. Once in a while, I'll get a deer out there. Uh, and then you need to go out like I do and walk and get a little bit of exercise. I mean, you don't have to go to the gym every day. I don't go to the gym every day. We cut wood for a fireplace because it does get a little cool down here. On that, that keeps me busy. And then growing everything and taking the dogs for walks keeps me busy. So watch the amount of processed foods you intake and then get some exercise. That's what I do on a regular basis every single day.
Mm, okay. So, what is one question I may not have asked that you think would be of value to the listeners?
Funding your franchise. Funding a franchise is very easy to do as long as you've got decent credit. There's funding using other people's money will require decent credit. That's one way to go. SBA loans, home equity loans, there's a few other different plans that you can do in there. Funding a franchise is easy because the franchise has that proven track record of success, and I have people that fund franchises all the time. Again, as long as you've got decent credit, you've got the net worth required for the business, nothing to it on there. Or you can do like what I did and use your own money. Use your own money would be if you had a 401k plan from a previous employer, not your existing one that you're working at right now. Because with a 401k plan from a previous employer or an IRA, I believe that'll do it as well. You can roll it into a self-directed fund. And a self-directed fund means that you can buy stock in any corporation you want. You create your own corporation on that, and you just buy stock in your corporation on there. It's actually very simple to do. The company that well, I've got a couple companies that'll do that for you. The one that did it for me charged me $5,000 to do it. I put $100,000 from my 401k, rolled it over into self-directed one, and they filled out all the paperwork, did all that for me. So I did not go into debt when I got into my business. Definitely a personal decision because that is your retirement money. So you do have to believe in yourself and want to invest in yourself. I did. That's the way I did it. So those are two different ways to do it. Use your own money, use other people's money.
Mm. So now I know many listeners are like, okay, this guy speaks so freely and confidently about this stuff. So where can I get in contact with him? So Greg, could you let the listeners know where they can find you and what you have to offer? And you did mention the book, yet mention the book again, please.
So this one. Real freedom, why franchises are worth considering and how they can be used for building wealth. That'll take you to a step-by-step process of what I'm going to take you through, and you get to know a little bit about me on there as well. Find the PDF version free on my website at franchisemaven.com. That's franchise, M-A-V as in Victor, E-N.com. Email me at greg@franchisemaven.com, or just pick up the phone and give me a call at 361-772-6401.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time that you've given us and the information and the lived experience. As you said, if people are willing to go into that entrepreneurship, there's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of requiring to believe in yourself, and you have to be able to know that there will be some failure and to face that fear and walk through it. And you're a living testament of that. So, and you've pivoted and moved in so many different places. I thank you for being here with the audience and myself. And I want to thank you for giving that greatest gift, which is your time.
Well, it was a pleasure, Nat, and it was an honor to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Please remember to be kind to yourself.
Hey, you made it all the way here. I appreciate you and your time. If you found value in this conversation, please share it out. If there was somebody that popped into your mind, take action and share it out with them. It possibly may not be them that will benefit, it's that they know somebody that will benefit from listening to this conversation. So please take action and share out the podcast. You can find us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under LiftOneSelf. And if you want to inquire about the work that I do and the services that I provide to people, come over on my website, come into a discovery call, LiftOneSelf.com. Until next time, please remember to be kind and gentle with yourself. You matter.